It's 3 in the morning. Your phone vibrates on the nightstand. You know who it is before you even look. That name on the screen you swore you'd never answer again. Your ex-wife. After 8 months of absolute silence, there she is, saying she needs to talk, that she misses you, that she made a mistake. Your heart races. Your hands shake. And at this exact moment, you are one click away from making the biggest mistake of your life. Stop. Take a deep breath. Because what I'm about to tell you might save you from months, maybe years, of unnecessary suffering. I'm not here to judge your feelings or say you didn't truly love her. I'm here to show you what's really happening inside your brain right now, and why that message means absolutely nothing of what you think it means. I've been a psychologist for 15 years. I've seen hundreds of men sit across from me, some crying, others angry, many completely lost. All asking the same question, "Doctor," she came back. "What do I do?" And do you know the truth no one tells you? That question already has an answer before you even finish asking it. The answer is no. It's always been no. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. When a marriage ends, it's not just a contract that dissolves. It's an entire chemical architecture inside your brain that begins to collapse. For years, your body produced dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin every time you saw your wife, touched her, talked to her. Your nervous system was literally addicted to that presence. And when she left, you went into withdrawal. This isn't poetry. It's pure biology. The first 3 months were hell, right? You couldn't sleep properly, saw her on every corner, checked your phone compulsively waiting for a message. That wasn't love. It was your brain screaming for a dose of the chemicals it was used to receiving daily. You were an addict in withdrawal. The only difference is that the drug was a person. But here's what you need to understand. She was going through the same process. And now, months later, when her chemical levels have finally stabilized enough for her to think with some clarity, do you know what happened? Her brain started to lie. It began rewriting your story together, erasing the fights, softening the conflicts, painting a romanticized version of something that, in reality, was toxic. You think she came back because she realized you're the love of her life? No. She came back because her brain is in emotional survival mode, looking for the quickest way to relieve a discomfort she can't even properly name. You're not the solution. You're the nearest painkiller. Let me ask you something. In the last months of your marriage, how many times did you think, "This can't go on like this"? How many nights did you lie in bed next to her feeling completely alone? How many arguments ended with that heavy silence, that feeling that you were two strangers living in the same house? Those memories haven't disappeared. They're just being suppressed right now by the chemical tsunami that message triggered in your nervous system. Here's a fact that should be flashing in neon across your forehead right now. Studies show that only 5% of couples who reconcile after a divorce manage to maintain a healthy relationship in the long term. 5%. Would you bet your house on a roulette wheel with a 95% chance of losing? Then why are you thinking about betting your emotional well-being? But the worst part isn't the statistics. The worst part is the pattern that repeats itself with frightening precision. First comes the intense reconciliation. You start talking again, meet for coffee, your eyes meet, and suddenly everything seems to make sense again. The first weeks are magical. The sex is better than ever. The conversations flow. You think, that's all we needed, a little time apart to appreciate what we had. A lie. What you're experiencing isn't renewed love. It's a massive chemical spike of dopamine, the same thing an addict feels when they relapse after months clean. Your brain is flooded with substances that make you feel euphoric, invincible, certain of your choice. But here's the problem. Peaks always have valleys. And the valley that comes after that initial euphoria is even deeper than the hole you were in before. Because the same problems that destroyed your marriage are still there, untouched, merely anesthetized for a while by the chemistry of reunion. She still has those behavior patterns that drove you crazy. You still react the same way to her emotional triggers. Nothing has changed structurally. You've just slapped a new coat of paint over a wall with deep cracks. And then the cycle begins again. 3 weeks, maybe 2 months if you're lucky, and the same toxic dynamics resurface. The difference is that now you're even more confused, even more hurt, and with even less emotional energy to rebuild your life again when everything collapses a second time. But there's something you don't know yet. Something I'll only reveal if you keep paying attention. Because that message she sent at 3 in the morning isn't random. The timing isn't a coincidence. And what she really wants from you might be very different from what's written on that screen. If you feel your chest tightening right now, if you recognize your own story in these words, then you need to hear the rest. Because I'm about to show you the real reasons your ex-wife came back, and none of them have anything to do with true love. Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, because what comes next will completely change the way you see this situation. Let's talk about control. Not the obvious kind, the one where she wants to know where you are or goes through your phone. I'm talking about something much deeper and more dangerous: control over the narrative of her own life. When she ended things with you, she made a decision. She was the protagonist of that moment. And now, months later, do you know what's happening? She can't stand the idea that you might be doing fine without her. Think about it. While you were married, she had a central role in your life. Every decision, every plan, every emotion was somehow connected to her. And when the marriage ended, she assumed you would collapse. That you would beg her to come back. That you would prove, through your suffering, how important she was. But you didn't. You moved on, or at least you're trying to. And that she didn't expect. Her return isn't about wanting you back. It's about regaining the emotional control she lost when she realized she's no longer the center of your life. Every message, every unanswered call, every picture of you on social media showing that you're surviving is a direct threat to her ego. So she makes the most predictable move in the playbook. She reappears to see if she still has power over you. Try something now. If you answer that message and show any vulnerability, any openness, do you know what will happen in the coming weeks? She'll start pulling away again. She'll reply more slowly, make excuses not to meet, create distance. Why? Because she already got what she wanted: confirmation that she still matters to you. Mission accomplished. Ego restored. And you're left there again, holding the pieces. Now comes the part that hurts the most. In some cases, she didn't come back alone. She came back because her plan B didn't work out. That guy she met 2 months after the divorce, the one who seemed perfect, who supposedly had everything you didn't work out. And when that collapsed, her brain went into panic mode. Loneliness hit hard. And who's the nearest safe harbor? You. The guy she already knows, who she already understands, who represents zero emotional risk because you've already proven you love her. You're not the love of her life. You're the convenient substitute while she looks for something better. Hard to hear? Yes. But it's the truth no one has the courage to tell you. Because everyone prefers to believe in love stories rather than face the cruelty of human psychology. There's another scenario too, and this one is especially cruel. She came back because she needs something specific that you provide. It could be financial stability. It could be the image of a functional marriage to show family or friends. It could simply be the convenience of having someone who takes care of her, who solves problems, who's always available. Do you see how in none of these scenarios you're valued as a person? You're a function, a resource, a means to an end. And here's the most sinister trap: the more you try to prove your worth to her, the more you try to be the perfect husband this time, the more you confirm that you're willing to submit to this dynamic. You become predictable. And predictable things lose value quickly. She knows she can come and go as many times as she wants, because you'll always be there waiting, ready to welcome her back with open arms. The numbers don't lie. In my clinical experience, most men who get back with their ex-wives go through the same sequence: 3 months of honeymoon, 6 months of old problems resurfacing, 9 months of deep regret, and an entire year wondering why the hell they didn't listen to the warnings. And do you know what's worse? The second breakup hurts even more. Because beyond losing the person again, you lose hope. You lose faith that love can work. You lose the ability to trust your own instincts. There's something I need to tell you about attachment. There are behavioral patterns formed in childhood, ways we connect with others. Some of us develop anxious attachment, always fearing abandonment, always seeking validation. Others develop avoidant attachment, creating emotional distance to protect themselves. And some develop disorganized attachment, swinging between extremes of need and rejection. Now ask yourself, what was her attachment pattern during your marriage? And why do you think that would magically change now? She didn't come back healed. She came back with the same wounds, the same fears, the same destructive patterns. The only difference is that now she's temporarily scared of her own loneliness, and you look like an easy solution. But untreated wounds don't heal on their own. They get infected. And that infection will contaminate everything again, faster than you can imagine. So tell me, do you really believe that a few months apart and a nice message at 3 in the morning are enough to transform years of structural problems? Do you really think she's been in therapy, working on her issues, becoming a different person, all in silence without you knowing? Or are you just desperate to believe any narrative that justifies saying yes? Now let's get to the point no one wants to face, but that you need to understand with absolute clarity. What happens inside you when she comes back has nothing to do with her. It has everything to do with you and the emptiness that was left behind. That hole in your chest you've been trying to fill with work, the gym, new hobbies, anything to avoid feeling. When that message arrives, it feels like someone has finally brought the missing piece of the puzzle of your life. But that is the greatest illusion of all. The brutal truth is this: you don't want her back. You want to go back in time. You want to recover the version of yourself that existed before everything fell apart. That guy who believed in forever, who made decade-long plans, who felt safe and complete. But that man is gone. And you're trying to resurrect him through her, as if she were some kind of emotional time machine. She's not. She never was. Let me show you what will actually happen if you reply to that message. You'll meet. There will be that long hug, those tears, that immense feeling of relief. The first conversations will be deep. You'll talk about everything that went wrong, you'll promise changes, you'll swear that this time it will be different. And you'll go to bed that night thinking you made the right choice. That you've matured. That love has won. 2 weeks later, she'll do exactly what used to drive you crazy before. That cutting remark. That criticism disguised as concern. That way of making you feel small without using a single directly offensive word. And you'll swallow it. You'll tell yourself it's normal, that every relationship has friction, that you need to be more understanding. You'll convince yourself that the version of her you saw during the reunion is the real one, and that the one showing up now is just a temporary slip. A month later, you'll have your first serious argument. Over something ridiculous, insignificant, just an excuse for all the built-up resentment to come spilling out. And in that fight, you'll realize something terrifying: you never stopped fighting. You just took a break. All those problems you thought time had solved were still there, untouched, waiting for the right moment to explode again. 3 months later, you'll be lying in bed next to her in the dark, feeling lonelier than when you were truly alone. And you'll wonder how the hell you ended up there again. How you let it happen. How you ignored all the signs, all the warnings, all the common sense screaming inside your head. But at that point, you'll have invested so much emotionally in the idea that this time it will work, that admitting the mistake will feel impossible. Here's what studies show about relationship relapses. Every time you go back to the same person who hurt you, your ability to set healthy boundaries diminishes. Your sense of self-esteem erodes a little more. Your tolerance for toxic behavior increases. You literally train your brain to accept less than you deserve. And the worst part? It contaminates all your future relationships. You carry that pattern to the next person, and the next, until you no longer know what healthy love looks like. There's a question I ask all my patients in this situation. If your daughter, or your best friend, or someone you love deeply came to you telling exactly the story you're living right now, what would you say to them? Would you say, "Go ahead, give it another chance, maybe this time it'll be different"? Or would you look them in the eyes and say, "For the love of God, don't do this to yourself again"? The answer is obvious. You know what advice you'd give. So why can't you follow your own advice when it comes to you? Because you're not thinking rationally. You're operating from a place of emotional desperation, of neediness, of a primal fear of being alone that's stronger than any logic. Your reptilian brain has hijacked your prefrontal cortex. You're in survival mode, not in growth mode. Now pay attention, because this is crucial. The fear of losing her again isn't about her. It's about losing hope. It's about admitting that those years of marriage won't have a happy ending. That you invested time, energy, and dreams into something that simply didn't work. And that hurts in a way that cuts deep. But do you know what hurts even more? Wasting more years of your life trying to fix something that was broken from the start. You're at a crossroads now. And you have to choose. You can turn left, back toward the familiar, the comfortable, the path that promises immediate relief but delivers prolonged pain. Or you can go forward, into the unknown, where it will hurt intensely for a few months, but then you'll discover you're capable of loving truly, in a healthy way, someone who genuinely values you. The choice feels impossible right now. But only one of those roads leads somewhere worth going. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to grab that phone. You're going to look at that message one last time. And you're not going to reply. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever. Because replying isn't just saying yes to her. It's saying no to yourself. It's betraying the future version of you who deserves peace, who deserves a love that doesn't need to be fixed every 3 months, who deserves to wake up next to someone without that weight in your chest. The strength you need right now isn't the strength to try again. Any coward can do that. True courage lies in accepting that it's over. In letting go. In admitting that you did everything you could and it didn't work, and that says nothing about your worth as a man or your capacity to love. It only says that this particular relationship wasn't meant to be. And that's okay. The next few days will be brutal. You'll pick up your phone 50 times thinking about replying. You'll create perfect messages in your head. You'll imagine entire conversations where everything magically works out. That's normal. Your brain is in withdrawal, remember? It's fighting the chemistry. But every hour you resist is an hour of healing. Every day that passes without contact is a brick in the construction of your new life. Here's what no one tells you about moving on. It's not linear. You'll have good days when you wake up feeling strong, capable, ready to move forward. And you'll have days when you fall back, when the longing hits, when you question whether you're making a mistake by not giving it another chance. On those days, you need to remember everything you've heard here. You need to revisit these words. You need to recognize that what you're feeling isn't love, it's addiction. And addictions lie. There's a technique I use with my patients. Write a letter to yourself. Not to her, to you. In that letter, describe exactly how you felt during the worst moments of the marriage. The sleepless nights. The arguments that left you exhausted. The feeling of never being enough. The moments when you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. Keep that letter. And every time the temptation to go back appears, read it. Remember what you're running from, not what you're losing. Because here's the final truth that will set you free: you're not losing anything. You're getting your life back. You're reclaiming the possibility of meeting someone who chooses you every day, not just when they're afraid of being alone. Someone who values you for who you are, not for what you provide. Someone whose love doesn't come with an expiration date or conditional clauses. That person exists. It might not seem like it now, when you're drowning in pain and confusion, but they do exist. And they will never show up if you keep yourself tied to someone who has already proven repeatedly that they don't know how to love you the way you need. Every minute you spend trying to save something dead is one less minute to build something alive. Look at me. I'm telling you this not as a psychologist reciting theories from books. I'm telling you as someone who has seen this story repeat hundreds of times. I've watched strong men shatter into tiny pieces trying to make something work that was broken from the start. I've watched brilliant guys waste years in cycles of separation and reconciliation, each time more lost, each time less themselves. And do you know how many of them, looking back, said they should have gone back? 0. Literally 0. Every single one of them, without exception, when they finally broke the cycle and moved on, looked back and thanked themselves for not giving in. Because they discovered something you'll discover too: life after the breakup, when you truly let go, is infinitely better than life trapped in a dying relationship held together only by fear and brain chemistry. So this is your lesson. This is the wisdom you need to tattoo on your soul. True love doesn't come back at 3 in the morning after months of silence. True love doesn't need multiple chances. True love doesn't leave you doubting, insecure, questioning your own worth. True love is consistent, present, intentional. And if what you had wasn't that, then it wasn't love. It was dependency disguised as romance. You deserve more. You deserve better. And the only way to get it is by closing the door completely on someone who only knows how to offer you emotional crumbs. Don't reply to that message. Block if necessary. Cry if you need to. But don't go back. Because going back isn't about love. It's about fear. And you are bigger than your fear. Now go. Delete that message. Take a deep breath. And start living the life you've postponed for far too long. If you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, because you've just taken the first step toward your true freedom.